This is technically the third and hopefully final part of a series of spur-in-the-moment videos we've been releasing about MultiVersus lately, and how this one game was blowing us up for an entire week. If you're interested in the journey to this point, I recommend starting at the last two videos we released on our channel, Team Crossbody Plays. After deciding more or less to soft release the game while it was in a beta period because of the massive success and warm reception it was experiencing, MultiVersus quickly begun to bleed its massive player base, as player first games clearly wasn't ready, or to my understanding, didn't have enough content prepared to keep people's interest going for very long. On top of that, the cracks of the game really begun to show, such as the netcode. And after a while of floundering, the devs finally decided to ultimately close the game to give them more time to work on the issues. That was a year ago. MultiVersus recently re-released a couple of days ago, and the launch has been one of the most botched things I've seen all year. This is Team Crossbody, and you had a whole ass year. Let's start with what I'm most mixed on, and that's the new game speed. I was largely against it at first, but after taking the time to hear and read about other people's takes, both positive and negative, I'm left conflicted on the subject. As someone who doesn't partake in the team aspect of platform fighters, I can honestly say that during the beta, when the game was much faster, it made the team fights really hard to follow. This isn't a MultiVersus exclusive issue, as it's a problem with the whole genre at large. If you don't know what's going on, then team matches are confusing and borderline unwatchable. So that makes sense on the 2v2 side of things. The game is much more easier to follow now, but on the 1v1 side, my side, it made the game such a slog to play. Some people say that it helps with certain elements of the game, such as footsies, landing hit confirms more reliably, and whiff punishment. And after playing a while, I can actually agree on that. But come on, does it have to be this slow? Would it hurt to knock the game up a couple of notches, because paired with the floaty nature of the animations, it makes the game feel like you're playing on delay-based netcode offline. If player first games decided not to address it, they will. I'm not saying that it's the end of the world or anything, it can be gotten used to at the end of the day, but this speed is a little silly. I'm not sure if this is a smart move or not, but humor me. Solos and teams are their own little world, and if people who play teams and the people who watch teams say that it's better this way, cool. But how about just beating 1v1? Like I said, it's a stupid idea, but I don't see an issue with just beating 1v1 up exclusively. Especially for players like me who don't find teaming up with randoms all that appealing, it would never really touch 2v2 because of such. It's dumb, I know. Just a random thought. Dumb thought aside, and if you're just asking me, keeping the game at the current speed it's at just make the game look overall boring and less exciting. I've always thought the characters were a bit small during their initial beta, and I'm glad they made the choice to make them bigger. But if there's any reason why the camera need to be so zoomed in, couldn't they just keep the older camera while keeping the models as big as they are now? I didn't think it would bother me so much, but it turns out to be more annoying than I thought. With everything so enclosed, to make opportunities to capitalize on things like wall bounces unnecessarily difficult, so fixing that would do a lot of good. Menus within menus, hard to navigate, some of the text is super small. I really wish every fucking game of this kind didn't have to look like Fortnite. One of the things I absolutely loved about the beta was that players were able to play the entire roster in offline modes like training and local multiplayer. Why can't that continue until the actual release? What does offering the characters in offline mode hurt? If you want to play online or even do the rifts and stuff, I can get behind having online characters. The game is free to play and they need to make money somehow. Although I hate this practice for fighting games, I get it. Seriously, does having all these guys available for offline versus and training actually cause the game damage in some way I'm just not thinking about right now? Because the way I see it, if people enjoy playing the game, and they enjoy playing a certain character, and have no one offline to play, then they're naturally going to grind to unlock them, if not straight up buy them for use anyway. But what do I know? I'm just a scumbag who wants free stuff. They were so damn proud of the fact that these characters were available offline a year ago. Should have seen the writing on the wall when it wasn't brought back up with the re-release. My experience with the netcode was largely okay. Luckily enough, I didn't go through any of the desync issues others seem to be going through. I think I've gotten a few rollback issues, like with the 2 matches and the footage seen in this video, but I was wired, so it's safe to assume that my opponents were Wi-Fi or something. I thought the netcode was bad at first, but it might have been because apparently the input buffer for MultiVersus is something like 30 frames. How? Why? What made them think this was okay? I thought the worst I would ever experience when it came to input buffering would be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And that game was like at 9 frames, and I quit because of it. Now here comes MultiVersus with a hot 30 frames. Until I figured this out, the game was an absolute nightmare to play. I mean, it's not like it's any better now that I know. Is it supposed to be on 3 frames? And then they accidentally added a 0? I'm impressed with the people who can actually play online in this mess. Because of the buffering, I gave up on trying anything fancy and just took the very basic things. Feels like I was trying to predict my opponents more than react to them. I know that Player First Games already has a list of things that they're going to fix, so hopefully I won't have to deal with this the next time I decide to boot this game up. Are we crazy? I don't hear anyone else talk about the game not having this option. Is it just us? Because it baffles me how the game is intended to compete with Super Smash Bros. And it can't even have this simple option. Now, if I can recall, Smash Ultimate's local co-op only extends to quick play modes, but at least it's there. Smash isn't a team-focused game, but MultiVersus is. This is the most tone-deaf thing I've seen in a while, man. You can't even play Rifts or co-op, like, god damn, this is some scummy stuff. Oh, and for some reason, Rank isn't ready as well. Guys, this is Season 1, right? Why isn't it available? Come on, this is silly. I would like to go into the actual monetization, but we try not to interact with those elements as much as possible. I heard they're pretty bad though. Look, I don't think MultiVersus is ass. Fuck it. This game is ass. Okay, I don't think it's ass anymore. Any anger I had towards this game is replaced with disappointment. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate faded from the public eye by this point, and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is too busy being screwed by its own namesake. This should have been an easy slam dunk by WB with its large net of characters to pull from and deep pockets. But here we are, looking at a game that can't even offer 2v2 local online in their team-based platform fighter with 30 frames of input buffering for some reason. There really was a chance to create a new standard for this genre of fighting game and show people that Nintendo's offerings isn't the only way to approach things. But just like everything else with a touch of potential nowadays, companies would rather catch more flies with vinegar than with honey, and abuses players with nonsensical decisions and predatory practices. And I hope MultiVersus can quickly get the help it needs before opinions of this game are set even more in stone. But seeing what company this is attached to, let's say outlook feels bleak. We'll see you next time on The Runback.